Greetings, Sandite friends. Wow, last week tore us up math-wise. Comparing fractions and putting fractions in order. If you're given 3 or 4 fractions, and let's say the directions say to put them in order from least to greatest or greatest to least, really gave us a tough time. So let's just kind of start off, and let me kind of go over a couple of things, starting off with comparing fractions and kind of give you a trick on how to do that. If you're given a fraction, and let's say, just an example, let's see if you can get my arm out of the way, 11 over 21, and we're going to compare that with 2/3. And we're asked, okay, which one of those fractions are bigger? Well, you may not have an idea where to start, but let me kind of give you a reminder or a hint of one way that I like to do it, is that if you take, and maybe a good term would be cross multiplying. If you cross multiply these numbers over and up or down and over, such as 21 times 2, and then do that. 21 times 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2, and then just kind of put that up there in the corner and remember that, and don't forget that number. And then take 11 times 3, 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 1 is 3, so it's going to be 33. And now, instead of looking at 11 over 21 and 2/3, let's look at these little cheater numbers that we made, 33 and 42. And which of those two are the biggest number, or the largest number? Well, 42. So in that case, the little arrow would go in that direction, the bigger end towards the 42, because the 42 is the bigger number. That really is all there is to that. And I'm really not quite sure why we had so much trouble with it, but man, it just seemed to really give us problems. Let's do another one. If I'm given a fraction of 1/2 and 9 over 18, can you tell me which one's bigger? Well, let's cross multiply. 18 times 1 is 18. I'm either going to try to remember or write down 18 really small. And then 2 times 9 is 18. Well, there's an 18 versus an 18. So those two fractions must be equal or equivalent. That's another thing that caught us off guard, is equivalent fractions, or just means that it's the same thing. If you want to make an equivalent fraction, let's say you want to make an equivalent fraction of 1/2. Well, as long as you multiply that top number and the bottom number by the same number, they're going to be equivalent fractions. For instance, if I take 1/2, and if I want to make an equivalent fraction, they may even ask for 2 or 3 equivalent fractions. Well, pick any number. I would suggest 2 because it's the easiest in most cases. As long as I multiply the top and the bottom by 2, I'm going to come up with an equivalent fraction. 1 times 2 being 2, 2 times 2 as being 4. And let's say they wanted another one. As long as I multiply the top and the bottom by the same, 2 times 2 being 4, and 4 times 2 being 8, those are equivalent fractions. And that's all equivalent means. They're just the same. Okay, enough of that. Let's go to putting fractions in order, because this is where most of you started to your brain's just started to explode. You were just overthinking it. I'm going to put down 4 fractions here. And I'm going to put them in order from least, meaning the smallest fraction, to the greatest, the biggest fraction. Okay? And 1/2 and then 2/5. You have to excuse my hesitation here because I'm taking this straight out of your book, and because I want it to be as accurate as possible. So here we go. Equivalent fractions. In order to do this, we've got to make some cheater fractions. Right over here, these are the fractions we're not going to use for anything else other than putting these fractions in order from least to greatest. Take this biggest number and start skip counting that number. Skip counting means 5, 10, 15, 20, so on and so on, okay? So skip count this biggest number, which is 5 in this case, until you hit a number that the 4 and the 2 will go into. Okay, so here we go. 5, the next one being 10. Well, 2 will go into 10, but 4 won't go into 10 evenly. So the next one, 5, 10, 15, not a chance because 4 and 2's even. 5, 10, 15, the next one being 20. That's starting to look good. 5 going to 20, I know because I've been skip counting it. 4, well, this is where your multiplication facts come into play. I know that 4 times 5 is 20, and I know that 2 will go into 20. So let's use 20. Put 20 over here on the other side. Okay? Now, start at the top or start at the bottom, middle, it doesn't matter. You have to do it to all 4. Ask yourself, how did this 5 turn into 20? Well, the way it did it, it multiplied by 4. So whatever I multiply by on the bottom, do it on the top. So 2 times 4, okay, which is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. So we're going to put that as our new number here. How in the world did this 2 get to be 20? Well, it multiplied by 10. Whatever I do to the bottom, do the top. 1 times 10 is 10. 4 got to be 20 because it multiplied by 5. 4 times 5 is 20, so I take that 5. 5 times 1 is 5. This 5 got to be 20, same way this one did. 5 times 4 is 20, and we take that 4 times 3, and it becomes 12. Okay? Now, look at these top numbers. Okay, and we're going from least to greatest. So look for the one that has the smallest number. I've got a 12, 5, a 10, and an 8. The 5's going to be the smallest, right? So remember, these kind of our cheater fractions. We're not going to use those. So putting these in order, this 1/4 right here is going to come in first place because it had the smallest number. Now, 8, right? 8 comes before 10, so that must be the second one in order from least to greatest. 10 comes before 12, so that must be third. And the biggest number being 12, that came in dead last, so that must be the biggest number. And friends, it's that simple. And I think a lot of us just we just overthought it. We were just stressing out about it, and we were just struggling. We were just struggling. Our brains were about to explode. There wasn't enough duct tape in the whole school to hold our heads together to keep it from exploding. As you guys are just weirding out too much. Let's do another one. And I'll draw this to an end because it's really not that difficult. Let's take, and I'm looking at your book, I'm going to do 7/9. And I'm going to take 13 over 18. And again, this is just straight out of your book. 5 over 6. And your next one's going to be 2 over 3. Okay, those are the fractions that we have to use. Now let's make our cheater fractions. Take that biggest number. Now this is going to be pretty cool. First thing you're going to ask yourself is, will the other three numbers fall into that biggest number? And sure enough, in this case, 9 times 2 is 18. 6 will go into 18. 3 will go into 18. So let's just make 18 our new denominator, okay? So here we go. Start from the top this time. How did this 9 become 18? It multiplied by 2. Whatever I do to the bottom, do to the top. 7 times 2, 14. 18 got to be 18 because it multiplied by 1. Take that 1, multiply it by 13, and that would be 13. This 6 got to be 18 because it multiplied by 3. So whatever I do at the bottom, do at the top. 5 times 3 is 15. This 3 got to be 16 because 18 because it multiplied by 6. Whatever I do at the bottom, do at the top. 2 times 6 is 12. Let's put this in order from greatest to least. Remember, read the directions really close, because sometimes they'll throw a curve at you, believe it or not. So it's either going to be smallest from least to greatest, or greatest to least. Let's do this one, greatest to least, the biggest to the smallest. So which one of these top numbers are the biggest one now? Well, it's going to be right here, this 15. I've got a 14, a 13, a 15, and a 12. And if I'm going from biggest to the smallest, this 15, or the 5/6, just came in first place. Congratulations. Okay? So now it's between a 12, 13, and 14. Well, 14 is the bigger of the three numbers, so it came in second place. Congratulations to 7 nines. The next one is going to be this 13 over 18, right? Because the 13's the next biggest number, third place. And then coming in dead last is 2/3, because here it is with the smallest number of the 12. Okay, friends. Boy, I really feel bad for you because of how much we struggled with that. But really, that's all there is to it. And if practice it, remember, knowing your multiplication facts is going to help you a great deal. Practice them every night. Just work with your numbers. Learn to skip count all your numbers. Get familiar with working with numbers. And when I say all your numbers, I'm talking about your 1s through your 9s, and that's going to help you so much. My friends, Sendite friends, YouTube friends, I hope this video helps you. If you have any questions, you can send me an email, post a question, whatever you'd like to do. However I can help you, I'd like to help you. And I'm going to draw this to an end, Sendite friends. It's all cleared. Sector 6, 6th grade center here in Sendite land. And I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you at school.